In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
But I do ask every publisher, every editor, and every newsman in the nation to re-examine his own standards and to recognize the nature of our country's peril. In time of war, the government and the press have customarily joined in an effort based largely on self-discipline to prevent unauthorized disclosures to the enemy. In times of clear and present danger, the courts have held that even the privileged rights of the First Amendment must yield to the public's need for national security. Today, no war has been declared, and however fierce the struggle may be, it may never be declared in the traditional fashion. Our way of life is under attack. Those who make themselves our enemy are advancing around the globe. The survival of our friends is in danger, and yet no war has been declared. No borders have been crossed by marching troops. No missiles have been fired. If the press is awaiting a declaration of war before it imposes the self-discipline of combat conditions, then I can only say that no war ever posed a greater threat to our security. If you are awaiting a finding of clear and present danger, then I can only say that the danger has never been more clear, and its presence has never been more imminent.
It's time to recognize that we've come to a turning point. We're threatened with an economic calamity of tremendous proportions, and the old business-as-usual treatment can't save us. Together, we must chart a different course. We must increase productivity. That means making it possible for industry to modernize and make use of the technology which we ourselves invented. That means putting Americans back to work, and that means, above all, bringing government spending back within government revenues, which is the only way, together with increased productivity, that we can reduce and, yes, eliminate inflation.
The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.
Hello and welcome to Inform America. I'm your host, Rich Merrett. Today is February 26th, 2020. Let's see, a couple of things first. I'd like to recommend to people that they check out the Boston Broadside newspaper. It would be nice if we had a newspaper here in New England that told us the truth instead of all the rag sheets that are lying to us. So if we support somebody who's telling us the truth, yeah, they'll grow and they'll be the #1 paper around, which is nice, because they didn't let us down when we needed the truth. Secondly, I'd like to ask you to go to the nationallibertyalliance.org and check them out. If for no other reason than the educational resource that they are for both you and your children. It is a phenomenal education, the courses they have there. Civics course, Constitution course, due process. You can't get it anywhere else. I promise you that. You will not get it anywhere else. Their civics course is, I believe it's 120 or 140 hours. Now, you take the course, you can take it 15 minutes at a time. It keeps your place on the site. So log in, take the course. You'd be amazed anyway. I can't say enough about it. You really will learn a lot. Thirdly, I'd like to ask people to support me in my book, Stand Your Ground. I'm very proud of the fact that I did something that very few people in America have done, at least currently. 100 years ago, that was a different story, but more recently, and that is start a labor union. Got rid of a corrupt one, started our own independent union. So I'd like to ask for your support. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle books, and I believe there's going to be a link put up on the screen. When that comes up, flyer, I'm sorry. There is a link in that flyer. If you want to purchase the book there and you want an autographed copy, I can send it to you doing it that way. It's actually a little bit cheaper, believe it or not, too, which is surprising. But if you want to go that route, be happy to sign it for you and send it out to you. Last week, we did a show. Well, this is going to be a continuation of last week because I didn't finish. I have that problem quite a bit, and I apologize for it. But we're going to go into finishing it up this week, and we're going to start something that I perceive it as going from grammar school to college. And you decide what you think based on watching the show. But what we showed last week, and what we're continuing to try to show people, is that the legislature doesn't make laws for the people. They don't. It says it clearly in Part 2, Article 5 of the Constitution, powers of the General Court. Okay? It clearly says in Article 5 that the legislature will make orders, laws, statutes, ordinances, directions, and instructions for the welfare and benefit of the state, the government. State and people are not synonymous. They don't mean the same thing. They are not spelt the same. They don't sound the same. Two totally separate words. Now, our perception, because I did it myself in years past, is that, oh, the state, that's me because I live there. No, it isn't you. Because the people of New Hampshire ratified the Constitution in 1783, they ratified it. The legislature didn't, the people did. The governor didn't, the people did. And the judges certainly didn't, the people did. My point is simply that once they ratified it, they became the lawmakers in the state of New Hampshire, as well as the other 12 original states. So, if they made the law, and Article 100 of the Constitution says, in order for you to amend or even add an addendum to the Constitution, it has to be done by the people. Who makes the laws? The people do. The word law, as it appears in Article 5, that the legislature has authority to make, that is for the government. They regulate the behavior of the government. There has to be guidelines for our government to work in. But the people continue to say, no, the legislature, they can do this with the gun laws. They can do that with our free speech. No, they can't. No, that's an infringement on our rights, number one. And number two, as it also says in Article 5 further down, I had it underlined and in bold, it's repugnant and contrary to the Constitution, which the legislature can't do. It says they can't do it in there. The people told them, you can't do this. Well, if they can't do it, why are you abiding by it? Why do you care what they do? And this goes with the police, too, because if the police are going to continue to enforce statutes, codes, rules, and laws that the legislature makes, well, guess what? We are screwed. We are screwed. Nothing will ever change. The law will say what it says, but because people don't want to read it, nothing will ever change. If nothing ever changes, go ahead. You can elect Mother Teresa to the presidency of the United States. Nothing's going to change. I believe you're seeing that with President Trump right now. The only thing I've seen him do, and this isn't a criticism, but I've seen him expose a lot of the corruption that's going on in our government in Washington. And to that I credit him with, but I was aware of that anyway. What he's not showing you, and you're probably never going to see it, is that the corruption starts at your local town hall and goes right up to Washington. That's not to say that people that are working in the system are corrupt. Their ignorance, they're feeding it, just like the police. They're feeding it, okay? The lawyers know the deal. And the judges know the deal. And the people in Congress, they know the deal too. They're playing a game with all of us. Once you find that out, you'll see exactly what, well, you'll make up your own mind. But I'm going to try to prove that to you today. You just have to be willing to look at some things. You don't have to look anything up. It's very simple. If the police continue to enforce things and you continue to say, okay, you don't know any better because we're ignorant. The police don't know anybody better because they're ignorant. But the people who are making out like abandoned is the courts. The courts and the prisons take in 1.7 trillion each and every year in America. Big business. Just like drugs. You think they're going to give it up? They're not going to give it up until you get fed up. Once your kids get killed, oh yeah, you can get mad if you want, but it's not going to do any good until we stand together. And it's about time we did that and said enough is enough. I'm not going to take anymore. I'm not talking about doing anything violent to anybody. Just say, look, this is our government. We're paying for it. Let's put a stop to it. That's my whole point. Now, I do have some, the Second Amendment, which we don't need to put up, but the Second Amendment, I just wanted to mention it. They're talking about a waiting period now. In New Hampshire, or actually, if we can put up the Second Amendment, I apologize, because it would be beneficial, I guess. It says the bearing of arms in New Hampshire, Article 2A of the state constitution. It goes on to say that the bearing of arms, the people have the right to protect themselves, their family, their property, and the state. Well, let's assume you go out and I don't know how the process is going to work now, but you go to the gun store and you say, I want to buy a gun. Okay, you fill out the paperwork, and which you shouldn't have to do, by the way, but that's okay. You get the paperwork, and they say, okay, you come back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or whatever time frame it is, and you're killed a week later, and you did not possess the ability to protect yourself. Were your rights violated? Because everybody's going to come up with, well, what about the crazy guy out there who has a gun? Well, I don't know about the crazy guy out there that has a gun. The crazy people right now are running our government. At the top, they're running our government, and you don't seem to care. You want to defend the little guy who kills 20 people. How about Dick Cheney, who, in my estimation, killed 3,000 people during 9/11? That's my opinion only. But does anybody care about that? He didn't use a gun. 3,000 people died, or just under 3,000 people. My point is this: if you do not read the law, you don't know what it says. You don't know what it means. You can continue to ramble on about this, that, and the other thing. It means nothing. And anyway, I'm going to go through some videos. They're documentaries that, some of these are documentaries. Well, they're all documentaries. I take it back. We don't have to reinvent the wheel because people have already done this for us. The first video that I want to recommend, and if we could have that list put up and just keep it on the screen, please, for a good 5 minutes maybe, or longer, I don't know. The first video that I'm talking about is America, Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. It was a video that Aaron did on the income tax situation in the United States. You watch that video, sit there with a pen and paper, and they're going to tell you numerous Supreme Court cases by name. Okay? Anyway, I was going to start rambling on, but I'm not going to do that. Just write them down. All you have to do is go on the internet and type in the name of a particular case. That case will come up and you can read it. A good source is Justia. If you want to go to the law library, that's just as good. That's fine, do that. Check these out, and I'll give you another one. Actually, no, I won't. I'll wait until next week. I don't want to burden you with too many of these because I have a lot of them here anyway. But you'll see that the information contained in here is accurate and true. The 16th Amendment conferred no new powers of taxation with the government. Okay? No new powers of taxation. That means they can't tax your, I don't want to use the word income because that's not accurate. They can tax income, but income is corporate gains. It has nothing to do with your time and labor, wages and compensation. That's why all these words mean different things. It's a game lawyers play. And that's why people like the Browns are sitting in jail, and they should not be sitting in jail. There is no tax, lawful tax in the United States of America on your time and your labor, your wages and compensation. None. Zero. Nada. I defy anybody to come forth, come on this show, or anywhere else in America, and provide us with that information. They say, oh, the tax code. The tax code is not law. Isn't law. Anyway, watch this video, America, Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo. You'll be blown away by it. And the other couple of them is Ruby Ridge and Waco. I put those together because it affects the Second Amendment. We don't have to have that up again, but Ruby Ridge, Randy Weaver sawed off a couple shotguns, and for that his son was killed, his wife was killed, him and his neighbor were shot, the dog was shot, and a ATF agent was shot because he sawed off a barrel. How far are we going to go? He didn't shoot anybody. He sawed off that barrel for the ATF agent. It was a setup. So my point is, how far are we going to go? Then they turn around and said the Branch Davidians, and by the way, the government can say whatever they want to say about you or I. That's how they discredit people. Say whatever they want to say. Oh, the Branch Davidians, they're stockpiling weapons. There was 180 people that lived there. What constitutes a stockpile? 10, 20, 50, 100? I don't know. But it doesn't say anywhere in the Second Amendment you can't stockpile weapons. Who cares? I know people that own 60, 70, 80 guns. I don't give a damn. They ain't shooting anybody. What do I care? They went in and they killed 80 people at Waco because of that. And they also said that David Koresh was having affairs with minor children. Yeah, he's a pedophile. He's a child molester. He's a drug dealer. He hoards guns. I mean, how much crap do you want to load on this guy with no proof whatsoever? Because I believed it back then too, but, I didn't believe all of it. But I bought into it. I said, okay, I'll accept that. Then you start looking in years later and you find out otherwise. Same with Kennedy assassination. The man was murdered by people in our own government, or people in our own government had a hand in it. Let's put it that way. Anybody do anything about it? No, nothing. There's a film that I hope you watch, 9/11 False Flag by Ken O'Keefe. I thought that film was phenomenal. And he put the cards right on the table and called it what it was. And once you see, I'm going to give you other videos in the next couple of weeks to support what he's alleging. Well, I'll say it right here. What he said was, he made an inference to the Israeli Mossad being involved in 9/11. Now, whether they are or they're not, I just want to say something here. The motto for the Israeli Mossad is, by way of deception, thou shalt do war. Do we want to associate with a country that does that, and that country drags us into war every single time in the last century? Every single time they were behind it, and they dragged us into it. For their benefit, not for ours. So hundreds of thousands of our people died, our guys died in war, so that they could benefit from it. Start checking out some of this stuff and find out for yourself. I mean, I'm of a mind to simply want to stand up and say enough is enough to our government because it's out of control. And most people, well, I won't say most, a lot of people are ignorant of what is going on. They're ignorant of the law, and they continue to think, well, if I vote so-and-so in, they're going to save me. No one's going to save you. You're going to save you. You're the only one that can save you. Just like when you get a flat tire, you fix it, yep, or you see to it that it is fixed. Or plumbing problem, you see to it or fix it yourself. You have to take control of your government. It is yours. Take responsibility for it. Don't let it slip away. 9/11 false flag is another one anyway. That's phenomenal. The other one has a lot to do with a lot of things, but there's Lavoy Finnegans murder, January 26, 2016. One of the things that got me about that, I watched it within a day of it coming out because the FBI had a drone filming the whole situation, and they put it up on YouTube the very next day. Or I'll say within 48 hours, I'm not 100% sure. But I remember watching it and I'm saying, I don't believe this. This guy's got his hands in the air and they're shooting him. And they shot him and killed him, claiming he was reaching for a gun. Well, from the time he was so-called reaching for the gun till the time he hit the snowbank, there was no gun in his hand. So if he was reaching for it, he must be a butterfingers. He can't get the butt of his gun out. Doesn't take 3 or 4 or 5 seconds for that to happen. You can do it in a second or two. Anyway, I think that's a good one to watch for a lot of different reasons. And the next one, I guess to say, is What Happened to the Constitution by Mark Wasmuth. I think this kid, he sounds like a younger man anyway. I think he does a phenomenal job for telling the people what happened to America. And he goes back in time and takes you through the steps. And he also shows you with documentation, the Library of Congress, such and such, this law or whatever it is, and the page to go to and everything else. He's showing it to you and telling you where to go. And he says right at the beginning of it, don't believe me. Check it out for yourself. You don't really there isn't much checking out to do. He's showing you the documentation. But you can go check it out. I recommend that you spot check it. You don't have to check every word he says. People like this, like Aaron Russo and Mark Wasmuth, and there's a lot of other ones out there too that are the same way, Ken O'Keefe. They're telling you the truth. They're not sitting there going, well, I'll only tell them 90% truth and I'll lie to them 10%. They're telling you the truth. There's nothing in this for them. The people who control this planet, there's plenty in it for them. They want to keep you in the dark. So if you want to stay in the dark, keep the blinders on. Don't listen to me or anybody else or Ken O'Keefe or Mark Wasmuth or Aaron Russo, who's now deceased. Don't listen to anybody. Just keep electing people you think are going to save your butt, because that ain't going to happen. Anyway, I would highly recommend What Happened to the Constitution. I can't say enough about it. It's a really good video. And here's one for you. It's called The Money Masters. Now, I want to tell you right off the bat, this video is, 3.5 or 4 hours long. It's a documentary, and please don't say I don't want to watch it. If you don't want to watch it, you don't want to save your country, so don't bother voting. Don't bother doing anything. The Money Masters is done by Bill Still. Bill Still ran for president on more than one occasion. And if I were to criticize him, the only thing that I could say is he's kind of monotone. So to listen to him for that long is tough. I've watched this video 6 times. 6. That's 24 to 30 hours I've spent watching it, and I do it again if I have to, because I'm not the type of person that could look at something and take it all in. I have to see it over and over. I have to read it 2 or 3 times. Then it sinks into the thick skull. But I got to tell you something. It tells you about banking, how it got started, how we've been fleeced, and it's all done with documentation too, all of it. And they start telling you, and this is the important part, because in weeks to come I'm going to bring you videos to watch that are going to tie a lot of things together. You have to look at the names, check out the names that they say. Now, the Rothschilds, who everybody knows but nobody talks about, are probably the richest family on the planet. They've done so through fleecing us. Their name back in the 1600s was Bauer. I believe it was Meyer Bauer, who changed his name to Rothschild, changed the family name to Rothschild, and they've been going under that name ever since. But they're German Jews out of Germany, and so far from what I can tell, and I'm just going to put this together, you figure it out if you want. A lot of the people on this planet who are extremely wealthy are of the Jewish descent. You make up whatever you want. I'm just giving you facts. Bloomberg, they say he's worth 50 million. Mark Zuckerberg, Schmidt, that owns Google and Facebook, or Zuckerberg owns Facebook. And there's plenty of others. All the media and all of Hollywood is owned by the Jewish people. And I'm not going to, by the way, I want to make this clear. My grandfather was a Jew. So I'm not sitting here saying that all Jews are bad, okay? I'm not saying that at all. It's like when you talk about the mafia, nobody gets bent out of shape. Oh, the Italians, nobody gets bent out of shape about it. It says, you can't say that. 2 minutes. Why is it when you say Jew, the Jewish mafia, oh, you're an anti-Semite, you're a this, you're a that. That's because they don't want you to talk about it. They don't want your attention drawn toward that. It's my contention that the Jewish mafia dominates planet Earth, in conjunction with a few other things, but they absolutely do. Absolutely. Watch The Money Masters, and you'll see what I mean. And I'm going to bring you some more videos in the next couple weeks. I really, like I said, I'm moving the education, I think, up to. It's no sense in me talking and talking and talking, although I will talk about the videos that I bring forward for you people to see. And there's going to be plenty if you watch them. If you watch these videos, I promise you'll get an education that you've never believed possible. And you'll be sitting there in amazement going, I never knew that. This is incredible. And you'll understand the depth of the corruption that goes on in our government. It is corrupt. All of it. Every bit of it. There's a 10-second clip, if we can put that up.
I'll say this plainly, I've said it before. Taxation is theft. It presumes that the government has a higher claim on our property than we do.
This video basically just says taxation is theft. And you're getting it from a judge. There's other sources out there who are willing to do this too. But check out this video, see what you think, and start looking into the videos that I've shown you here. Start clicking on them. Open them up and read them. With that, I'd like to ask you, if I share this to 20 people, this video, and then those 20 people share it to 20 and it goes on, people will get educated, not through me, but just these links alone. You don't want to listen to my voice? I understand perfectly. Click on these. Share it with people, please. It's time we do something about it. With that, thank you for watching. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Join us again next week, and thank you for watching. God bless.